All right, we are officially live, everyone. Welcome to our Web3 Simplified weekly webinars. My name is John Jardine, and today is a very, very special webinar because we are streaming to multiple social media platforms, and we are not only accommodating for the Web3 enthusiasts, especially the non-technical Web3 enthusiasts, but we are actually catering for the technical folk as well. But please do not let that scare any of you. There is method to my madness tonight when I present this webinar, and none of you at any point will feel that you're lost and that you're in the wrong place. So give me the benefit of the doubt and please stick around. I'm really hoping that on the social channels, especially on the YouTube channels and on the Facebook and LinkedIn, that the sound and audio is fine and that you can see my screen. I am trusting that everything is good, and I will move forward. I will be looking at the chats in case anything has gone wrong. So let's get started. All right, for today's agenda, we are going to focus, we're going to try and do this in a little bit of a storytelling fashion. We will introduce the villain, and then we'll go forth into the master plan. And then from there, we will explain part one and part two of today's discussion, which will focus on the Quan platform, which is the blockchain that I want to speak to, that is linked to the title of all the media posts that I put out there, which is a blockchain for any programming language. Okay, so that's our agenda for today. Before we get kicking, a moment just to discuss a couple of things related to this live stream today. Number one, if you are watching this as a replay, just kind of look above me somewhere on the YouTube video, and you will see a notification that will say abridged version. If you do see a notification over there, I recommend that you click on that and go and watch this via the abridged video, because it will be a lot more cleaned up. You won't miss anything, but it will be a lot more cleaned up, taking away my ums and ahs and any dead spots during today's live stream. However, if you don't see that on the top, sorry, I haven't published it as yet, and feel free to just continue watching as you are right now. Okay, I am streaming to two YouTube channels. I'm streaming to the Entre platform. I'm streaming to Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I want to thank Mr. Triplet for managing. Oh, I'm streaming to Clubhouse, everyone. So I just want to thank Mr. Triplet for managing the Clubhouse and moderating over there. I want to thank Yuri for managing the Entre platform. But as far as the rest of the, the social media platforms are concerned, I seem to be on my own. So here it goes. All right. The next thing is that, again, today is for technical and non-technical folk. Please, it's not going to be boring for technical people. It is important information. You want to stick around. There's some very important stuff, whether you're a Java developer, whether you're a Node.js developer, whether you're a Python or Go developer, or even an Ethereum blockchain developer, you need to know what I'm about to present today. But for the non-technical folk, it's still important, because you might be part of businesses that could take advantage of some of the announcements, or not announcements, but some of the feedback that I'm going to be making today. So again, don't let the fact that this is technical and non-technical scare any of you. And I will make sure that I can give a little bit of time at the end to do some Q&A in case there are any questions that have been raised. Otherwise, and even though I want to try and fit everything into an hour, I'm more than happy to stick around as long as what need be in order to answer any questions that may occur. So if we jump into the villain, okay, I started in my blockchain career, sort of my Web3 career started about 10 months ago. Before then, I've been an engineer, a software engineer for like 20 years odd, and working on multiple development platforms, programming in multiple languages. But I finally took that leap, and I went and I moved into the Web3 space, which a lot of people just sort of know as crypto or blockchain. And through my last 10 months, I've explored a number of blockchains, invested in a number of cryptos, and sort of developed a number of Web3 solutions, or what a lot of people also know as decentralized applications, in order to get my feel of what blockchain has to offer, and is this in fact the way forward? Is this the new internet that some people are screaming about and other people are saying sort of maybe it's not, maybe it's just a fad? So the good news is that I am very, very, very bullish on Web3. As a technical person, it is here. It is the new internet for various reasons, and some of them I'll just brief over in this discussion, but I do want to focus on the core topic at hand. But from my experience, the villains of Web3 or blockchain that is preventing what I refer to as mass adoption is divided into three categories, and those categories are crypto, Web3, and tech. Now, if we take a look at crypto, The villains, and when I say villains, it's the problems that we currently face that are preventing mass adoption. So, for example, on the crypto side, uh, even though this blockchain technology is changing the internet as we know it, everything is just still investor focused. So that's one of the big villains over here, is that no matter how the technology is evolving, everyone is too focused on the price of a certain crypto and trading it on the exchanges, and not really taking the time to realize that there's something happening behind the scenes, and that instead of just running away or becoming emotionally uh, sort of frightened every time the price of a crypto coin drops, realizing that there is an underlying technology that is hitting certain waves and is evolving and maturing, and that at some point in the near future is going to become something extremely huge. All right. So the focus is a lot on on investing in crypto right now. And that also brings along the next villain, which is stability of the crypto coins. There's just too much volatility over there. So what's happening is, even if we did want to see the underlying technology, which is blockchain and a number of other things, as a new internet, as a new solution, the fact that the crypto keeps jumping and falling, and that the price of transactions on crypto spaces or on blockchains is based on the price of that crypto, it's just too volatile and unstable for people to adopt the technologies and start strategically moving over a lot of their investments over and businesses onto these platforms. Because that brings also risk, which is another one of the villains, right? You've got the risk of, is this blockchain even going to exist? What if the crypto falls down to zero? What if I now went and decided that my business is going to run on a certain blockchain like Ethereum or like Solana, and now all these hacks are occurring and all these things are occurring, and because do I have a digital wallet? Is it in fact owned by me? Is it not owned by me? How are they able to hack it? There's just so much risk right now because there's a lot of volatility on the environment, and there's a lot of people making very silly decisions because they're so worried about fear of missing out that they jump onto the Web3 space with very little knowledge, and unfortunately many of them get conned, and it usually takes one or two of them to get conned well enough that it goes and spreads out to the rest of them, as you would see it when receiving an email that's got that lovely attachment that says, please click here to change your world forever. And before you know it, the company's half closed down because everything is encrypted. All right. And then the final villain on crypto is that it's hard to acquire. Because so even if you are willing to jump onto the crypto spaces and you're willing to be a part of this Web3 ecosystem, many of the countries, it's such a struggle just to move money around in order to acquire the relevant crypto tokens. There are very few online exchanges that provide a lot of these tokens. And if you want to get some of the more sort of newer tokens, then you really got to know what you're doing. But for a lot of countries, they don't even have access to some of these exchanges. I'm in a country where that's happening right now. I'm in South Africa. And South Africa does not allow me to use fiat and deposit that and purchase crypto on, for example, Coinbase or Binance. It's not allowed. I have to go via so many back-end routes just to be able to get money into those exchanges so that I can finally take advantage and purchase some of these amazing coins and tokens that are out there right now. So that's the final villain on the crypto space. If we jump into Web3 as well, this is the second category. One of the big villains over here is that Web3 is misunderstood by a lot of people. In the smallest sense, Web3 is misunderstood for the sake that it seems to just be like a blockchain and crypto, and off you go. So if you've got Bitcoin, you've got Ethereum, and you've got a few other blockchains out there. Oh, Dogecoin just came out now. Oh, this is happening. And at the end of the day, Web3, even if you do know it, it is and a lot of people still think that Web3 is also related to like NFTs and stuff. But what it's truly, Web3 is truly a new internet that encompasses blockchain decentralized technology with financial transactions, with the whole trustless platforms that are going to give us a new way of doing things on the internet. It is inevitable. It is coming. And once you understand what Web3 is, you're going to be a part of this amazing journey. But a lot of people are thinking that it's just a marketing ploy. I'll tell you what, you want to know what a marketing ploy is? Go read Jack Dorsey's announcement with Web5. That was a brilliant marketing stunt. Well done to him. But anyways, coming back to Web3, it is completely misunderstood. And as such, there is going to be an extreme low adoption of the Web3 ecosystem, because right now it's just too over-engineered and it's too technical, and it is going to be a problem for a lot of us. And then the education, probably one of the biggest villains right now. And no offense, I'm a technical person. There is more than enough free education out there right now to accommodate developers such as myself that are willing to go and develop these DAOs or smart contracts or NFT marketplaces using, most of the time, Ethereum or Solana or Polygon or you name it. But everyone seems to think that Web3 is just that. So all the content and all the educational content is based around developers. But there needs to be Web3 education for non-technical people. It is just too important. And right now, it is lacking. It is lacking terribly. And it is a massive villain in the current state of the blockchain. Okay. And then finally, just to go ahead and move into the final category, we've got new skill sets that are needed. How many people, when Apple came out with the Apple App Store and said, well, you can now develop app solutions and sell them on our App Store, absolutely fantastic. A brand new marketplace. There's already millions of people on it. All we need to do is learn Objective-C. All right. How many of you knew Objective-C? Okay. That it's just it's not realistic. When did you need to use Objective-C in your current day-to-day business? Because most of us as developers, we have real when I say we have real jobs, we are part of companies where, as much as we want to play around with blockchain technology, we have to go and support possible legacy systems or monolithic solutions that have been developed over multiple decades that cannot just change overnight. And we don't have the opportunity, or we don't have the time or the budget to go and say, well, we're just going to go and refactor everything and learn Objective-C because we're going to move everything over to mobile apps. And in this case, for blockchain technologies, we're facing a similar problem, because we have to now go and convince our superiors that we have to now go learn Solidity, because Solidity is the blockchain programming language of the future. And it will allow us to create smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain, which we as businesses are ultimately going to have to move on so that we can integrate with others via some sort of decentralized, secure method. Okay, it is not a good sell, and that is a major villain at this time. The fact, never mind the skill set, let's look at how slow everything is on the blockchains at the moment. The business works too fast. If we have to look at real use cases and start saying, but how do we go and incorporate blockchain technology, yet we have to go and sit a couple of minutes for something to happen, it is not going to work. So a real villain over here is how slow everything happens on some of these blockchains. Yes, I know you've got Avalanche that is really sort of up in the game when it comes to transactions per second, but I'm talking about the majorities, number one. And number two, even with Avalanche, there's still a couple of hurdles out there that we need to face. The gas fees, also, the gas fees are just too expensive. And even though Avalanche boasts that the gas fees are a few cents, it's at the end of the day, it's still going to count. And it doesn't come anything close to what cloud platforms like Azure and Google Cloud and AWS offer in terms of what a one transaction costs. Okay, it is just not. It's not going to work in the real world. Sorry, I'm getting excited. Yeah, so when I get excited, I lose my words. Anyway, so gas fees is a major villain right now. And overall, everything is expensive. I mean, even if you want to go and set up and host private blockchains and then sort of work with a proof of work mechanism, which is what Ethereum and Bitcoin are, but now you want to go into some sort of proof of stake mechanism as well. It's expensive. It's not realistic for a lot of people. I mean, even with Avalanche again, Avalanche is providing us with the means. We moved away from proof of work to go into a proof of stake, which is a lot more eco-friendly, and it means you don't need that kind of crazy hardware. But now you need like a $20,000 investment, which is just it doesn't make sense for a lot of people. So how are they going to come on board and be a part of these solutions? And so I'm picking on Avalanche over here. But the reason why I'm picking on them is because they're doing a lot of things right. They really are doing a lot of things right. And I feel sorry for Ethereum, because Ethereum is going through a massive phase right now to migrate their Ethereum blockchain into ETH2 or whatever they want to call it, so that they can move from proof of work to proof of stake, when in fact Avalanche and a number of other blockchains have already moved on and are providing those services. So I don't know what's going to happen, but they're also offering the ability to migrate a lot of people's smart contracts from Ethereum to their platforms and offer everything at such a lower price range and at much faster speeds. But I digress. Okay, so now that we understand what I regarded as the villains through my experience, this is my master plan. So everyone, remember, this is just my opinion, but this is my master plan of how would one move forward in order to create massive adoption for non-technical folk, for general users. How could we move forward? And here are my three categories: education, tech, and ecosystem. If we look at education, we've got financial education. This is very important. The new internet is going to be an internet of finances. It's going to be an internet of transactions and of managing money and wallets. You cannot jump into this new internet just thinking that everything is free, because everything is going to have a cost. In our current Web 2 internet, your attention, and you are the product, which means that the Facebooks and the Twitters are paying for a lot of the stuff. But in the new internet, in the Web3 space, that is going to be taken away from big corporations like Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. You are going to be able to own your own data, but you have to be accountable for that. And to be accountable for that on the Web3 space, you are going to need to know you're going to have financial education. The second one is security. And security is a big, big, big must. You need to appreciate and respect what it means to have a digital wallet that not only holds digital assets, but also your cryptocurrency. If you are relaxed with how you store your crypto keys or your passwords, and you don't understand the fundamentals of what it means to be secure on a web platform in general, never mind Web3, you're going to have a huge problem in the Web3 space, because it is not as forgiving as Web2. And you're going to find yourself in a big problem. The fun part of this is that this financial and security education on the Web3 spaces, okay, it is absolutely valid in today's world right now with Web2 and with finances as we know it. So whether you end up using this education for Web3 or not is irrelevant, because it's going to make your life better just in today's world with everything that you're working on right now. So we need this kind of education anyways. And then finally, we need Web3 education. We need to help businesses adopt Web3 technologies and move them onto the Web3 space, because there are billions and it's actually trillions of dollars running around, and those who haven't adopted Web3 because they don't know, or it's too technical, or list your 100 reasons why, they are not part of that space from a business point of view. But look at how much money is also left out of the Web3 ecosystem. So it's an argument both ways. On the tech side, we need to make sure that people can work on Web3 with any programming language. That's something that I also said. I don't want to learn Solidity. The fact that I had to is one thing, but I don't want to learn Solidity. And I never wanted to. I learned what I needed to learn. I copy and pasted most of the time. I knew how to design solutions. I knew how to architect them. But the fact that I needed to go and learn a new programming language just was a pain in the buttocks. All right. It wasn't fun. It wasn't good. I've spent how many years? I've worked on multiple programming languages, and I just did not feel like starting over, even though that I had to. And in my master plan, there has to be a place where anyone can bring their skills. That whether it be JavaScript, Java, whether it be C#, whether it be Python, you name it, bring your skills, bring your platform and deploy it. And you can be a part of the Web3 ecosystem. Why now have to move over to Solidity? Why did we have to move over to Objective-C in order to build apps on the App Store and wait so many years before platforms finally came out, like React Native or like Flutter or like a number of others that allowed us finally to use the programming languages we wanted to use? All right, so that's really a solution that we can do. Easy deployment as well. The ecosystem, the blockchain ecosystem, we almost, as developers or as people that want to deploy solutions, shouldn't need to know about it. We shouldn't need to know what's happening behind the scenes. We need to follow best practices. We need to follow standards, but then we need to deploy and know that the blockchain ecosystem has the measures in place in order to deliver what we need to do, which is what we have currently with cloud platforms like serverless, which is what Azure offers, AWS, which is what Google Cloud Platform offers. An expectation, a standard has been set. And now for someone who's a cloud developer who develops solutions for the cloud to have to move over to a blockchain, how much of that disappears? And now they have to go back to what they knew years ago, where there was no sort of serverless option, where suddenly everything is risky. We cannot do that anymore. There has to be a better way. We have to have that cloud-based serverless deployment in minutes to a blockchain platform that in our own programming language. And finally, it has to be progressive. Okay. This is my dream. It has to be a progressive approach. It's not going to be one of those, well, take it or leave it, either redesign everything that you've built over the last few years, or you're not going to be a part of this. No. If you take a look at what Facebook did with React, absolutely brilliant. It was a progressive approach. They designed the React library in such a way that you could take whatever you had and slowly but surely start incorporating the React library as and when you had time. For example, when it was new development, so that you didn't have to go big bang, either design a full React solution or stay with your old traditional sort of web JavaScript solution. And for those who don't know, in the non-technical side, React changed the game when it came to how fast a website web application will load. If you go to Facebook right now, as an example, go and feel what Facebook feels like, how fast it loads. And I wish you could compare it to what it was a couple of years ago. It is night and day, and it's because of the technology that they developed and gave to us as developers for free. And we need to be able to do the same thing, even though we are moving into the Web3 space. And then on the ecosystem side, my master plan is stabilize the gas fees. Stabilize the gas fees. I don't care what your prices of your crypto coins are. Invest away on the crypto coins. But when it comes to a transaction cost, it can't be based on what the price of the crypto coin is. The transaction cost should be tied to some sort of stable fiat currency, so that businesses and individuals know that if I'm going to go deploy an application to a blockchain, or if I'm going to run a transaction that is going to require some sort of financial transfer of a token from my wallet to another wallet, I know it's going to cost me X, or I know it's going to cost me Y. I don't have to go and look now and see what the price of the crypto is. All right. That is preventing mass adoption of blockchain technology and Web3. Improve security, always continuously improve security. It's what worries me is that a lot of these new blockchains are coming in, and they're sort of being designed as layer one blockchains. Now, Bitcoin has been around for the longest time. Ethereum has been around for the longest time. They've learned some serious lessons. Yes, they high gas fees and a number of other thousand issues. So what happens is Avalanche comes in and says, look, we're going to do things differently. We are layer one. All right. Have you learned the lessons that they've learned? Because if I have to now migrate to your platform, what does that mean of the security risks that I'm going to now face? And for every new blockchain, whether it be DeSo, whether it be Solana, whether it be whatever, we've got to worry about that. And then finally, improve user experience. This is the master plan. We need to fix the user experience. We need people to feel that working on a blockchain is as easy as registering a social media account, and performing transactions should at least speak plain English to people, whereas right now it doesn't. Every time you have to connect to MetaMask. I mean, how do I explain to a user who only knows how to really use Facebook or Pinterest? How do I explain to them that they have to now download the MetaMask app, and in the MetaMask app they have to use the embedded browser in order to access let's see, OpenSea, so that they can finally connect their MetaMask wallet? It's not going to happen. There's got to be a better way. So we need to improve the user experience. All right. And that brings us now to a platform that I discovered not a few days ago. And with the little time that I'd spent, not only on the platform itself or on the technical side, but with the people in the communities, I just had to have this presentation today. I had to go and explain this to everyone. So let's kick forward. The platform is called Quan Platform. Even though it's spelled QAN, it's Quan Platform. All right. It is the Quan blockchain. And here's a quick overview. It started in 2019 and was co-founded by CTO Johan Poleksak. And the team, the Quan platform team, boasts members who are either part of or part of the projects or worked for PwC, Uber, Ethereum, Bitcoin.com, IBM, and others. All right. So it's a pretty interesting team behind this platform. Their mission and vision is to create real blockchain use cases and allow anyone to build rapidly and securely on the blockchain. I thought I misspelled that, but apparently I didn't. So when we talk about real blockchain use cases, we're saying that how can the blockchain work for you as a business right now, and not you have to now go and find a way to work on the blockchain. So I think that's one of the real missions that they have right now, and allow anyone to build rapidly and securely on the blockchain. What do they mean by that? They mean that anyone in their current state with their current skill set with very little effort to be able to build rapidly and securely on the blockchain. That is their mission and vision. They are currently in a testing phase. The fact that they started in 2019, one of the reasons that I stumbled upon the Quan platform is I actually watched a live stream of an event where they presented at that event, which happened a couple of days ago, and they are now in a testing phase of their product and their platform, with intentions to launch at the end of this year, early next year, based on a couple of factors. So that's just a quick overview of Quan platform. But if we go and take a look at the typical features, all right, so let's go and see what they do from a typical point of view. So they're a layer one blockchain, all right, which means that they've just developed the blockchain from the ground up. It doesn't run on top of Ethereum like Polygon as an example. They are a hybrid blockchain, so they offer both public and private blockchains. So you can either use their public blockchain or you can implement your own private version of their platform. And there's even a combination of the two. That's why it's a hybrid. So they can actually offer you both private with option to post ad hoc to the public blockchain. And yeah, I'm not going to go too much into that. I know Avalanche does that as well. They are Ethereum EVM compatible. So EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine. And what it means is that anything that could have been developed on the Ethereum blockchain is completely compatible on their blockchain as well, which is great because it means that if you want to move to the Quan platform from Ethereum in terms of your smart contracts, you'll be able to easily migrate them over. All right. That caters for NFTs as well. That caters for tokens as well. Everything is completely compatible with each other. Quan X is the utility token available on the which is the utility token, that what gets used on the Quan platform. So Quan X, similar to ETH for Ethereum, Quan X is for the Quan platform, and it is currently available on PancakeSwap and on Uniswap. If you want to trade and actually acquire some Quan X, you are able to do it via those platforms. And if you've got a MetaMask wallet or Trust wallet, you're well on your way. So now that we got away with some of the typical features of the Quan platform, this is the fun part, everyone. This is now what they offer that is extremely unique, and this is what caught my attention. Number one, they are quantum resistant. Okay, so also known as post-quantum, quantum secure, or quantum safe. What I never realized, and I got to describe this in the easiest way possible, is that in 2023, IBM will be releasing their quantum computer that produces enough quantum bits that it could hack 99% of all blockchain transactions as of this day. All right. In 2023, IBM will release a quantum computer that will be able to hack Bitcoin blockchain, Ethereum blockchain, you name it. All right. And the reason for this is because these blockchains use elliptic curve cryptography for the transactions that take place. And what happens is you ask yourself, okay, but if IBM comes out with this kind of quantum computer and it's able to hack the blockchains like this, well, what about normal business solutions? What about cloud platforms? Well, the good news is what you need to put in place is it's called a post-quantum patch, for lack of a better term. Think of upgrading your antivirus program, because now new malware has come out, and all you do is you upgrade your antivirus servers or programs that are running on your businesses, and off you go, you are protected. Unfortunately, when it comes to the blockchain, especially like the Ethereum blockchain, it's not as easy as that. The very the very way blockchain technology is designed is not to go and create these kind of heavy versions of the blockchain that's now going to support these things. So what would need to happen in order for Ethereum to adopt this is that it would need to have to create what we call a hard fork, which is it's almost as if it's a new version. And if you don't understand this, go back to go and see why there's Ethereum Classic and Ethereum right now. There's two Ethereum blockchains, the Classic and the one that everyone uses right now. Go and see what happened over there with the DAO, and you'll understand what a hard fork can do to the ecosystem. And in order for Ethereum to support post-quantum or to provide post-quantum support, they're going to have to do that again, according to research. All right, I'm not that kind of genius on the blockchains, but this is the information that I know right now. So with Quan platform, they use what we call a lattice-based post-quantum cryptography. So it is a combination of elliptic curve and post-signature combination signing algorithms, which makes them quantum resistant, and that's the term that they're using. And this is one of their IPs. They'll be the first blockchain to be quantum resistant and not be hacked by a quantum computer that can produce the bits that IBM's computer is going to be producing next year. So yeah, that's a really interesting feature. And I think if this is true, everyone, then what does that mean? What does that mean for blockchains within the next couple of years that have to now hard fork their platforms and create new instances of their platforms in order to be safe from quantum computers hacking them? I don't even want to know. It's almost like what do you call it? The year 2000 again. So if we take a look at this, we can see, and this I took out of a snippet that says, based on the latest post-quantum cryptography research, all wallets relying on elliptic curve cryptography that have at least one outgoing transaction will break by a 1121 plus qubits quantum computer, which is the one that IBM wants to release next year. So there it is. Okay. These are the ones that are currently that they currently have. This is the one that they're busy with. That's the one that's coming. So this is the one that's going to cause havoc if they do in fact bring that out. Now, the second piece of IP that Quan offers is called proof of randomness. This is also pretty exciting. We had proof of work, right? Bitcoin and Ethereum are proof of work. And what that means is you've got validators that mine transactions. So if you want a transaction to go from one place to another, you need someone with a lot of compute power that will mine the transaction, perform complex calculations so that transaction can securely occur. Now, the problem with that is it consumes an extreme amount of energy, number one, and number two, it's slow. So it is not a solution. It's one of the very reasons why Ethereum is moving from what they have right now to what they call ETH2 or ETH Next. It's so that they can go from a proof of work to a proof of stake consensus, okay? And it's also one of the reasons why Bitcoin has a Lightning Network on top of it, so that Lightning Network can take care of a lot of the things, because Bitcoin is also proof of work and requires insane amounts of energy, because people are fighting for that transaction in order to earn that Bitcoin, right? So what's happening is the bigger and bigger the compute power is per single individual, then they will end up taking most of the transactions versus those who are just running a normal computer at home. So definitely not a good happening over there. But then we've got proof of stake, right? So instead of doing a proof of work where you're mining the transaction and you're using compute power in order to fight for that transaction, rather you go and invest a certain amount in that blockchain's token in order to what we call stake. And from that, you would be able to then be eligible to mine certain transactions. You will not need a lot of compute power. In fact, you could do it on a mobile phone and earn cryptocurrency for that particular blockchain as a result. The problem with this is that there's a lot of organizations now that have invested serious amounts of money in order to dominate the transaction processes that are occurring on some of these blockchains. So a lot of the transactions will end up going to sort of single entities because they had the funds to stake in that particular blockchain. And that's why I say we are not very democratic. So what Quan platform offers here is a proof of randomness, which is a hybrid between mining and staking, proof of work blockchain proof of staking, but uses some sort of random. I don't understand the details of it, but what it lands doing is it provides you the best of both worlds. It is extremely eco-friendly. It uses a combination of mining as well as staking. It's all randomly done. And even someone on a smartphone or Raspberry Pi can take advantage of this. And they do that by being registering as a miner as well as staking a certain amount. And you can also have nodes, a much bigger node providers that can do the same thing, but just on a much bigger level. And that is what Quan platform is offering as an alternative to the current offering. So this is also absolutely unique. It's not something that's really out there right now. So yeah, and additional benefits is, yeah, I said over here that it can be done on my mobile phone, and we can achieve higher transactions per second. So now if we go and take a look at this and we go and look at the transactions per second that could occur on a blockchain, you'll notice, and I went and checked these numbers, and they're pretty accurate for the most part. Bitcoin, 7 transactions per second. Ethereum, around 14. Cardano, around 250. Polkadot, around 1,500. And Solana is around 2,000. I think it was 2,800 the last I saw. Okay. And if you look over here, with Quan platform, you're looking at around 1,600 or less than 1,600 on their public blockchain. But then you've got 95,000 transactions per second when it comes to private blockchains. All right. And we'll get to that, right? We'll get to that in a moment, why we're focusing on the private blockchains. But something that I'm not showing you as well is that when you do a hybrid of private and public transactions using Quan platform, the transactions per second, for some reason, span into the millions. I don't know the details of it, but it's in their documentation. You must go read it up. I'll give you the link to it at the end of this. So what is the next one? Low cost fixed fees. This is another great IP that they are offering. So with Quan platform, they will predefine a price range of a min and max amount that you will know what it's going to cost you, whether you're an individual or you're a business. All right. So they will predefine that price range. It will be fixed to the USD. So I suspect they'll be connecting it to some sort of stable coin like USDT. They will fix it to that. And no matter what the price is of their crypto token, which is QuanX, no matter what that price is, the transaction price will always stay the same. Now, here's the fun part. Using a DAO strategy, who determines what the price will be is based on DAO governance and by voting and submitting proposals to say, listen, yeah, for whatever reason, we feel that this price needs to maybe up by 2% in order to support this and that in the next story. But it's not a decision that they just make by themselves and there you go, it gets implemented on the blockchain. It is a DAO, which means that everyone who holds QuanX has the right to vote to say, should this be the case or should this not be the case? Obviously, being a DAO, the relevance of your vote will also most likely depend on the number of tokens that you have, but that could change and that could not be the case. And there's not much detail on that right now. So please don't take my word for that. But it is a great offering because that's where we bring stability into play. So we are now going to go into part 2, which is the Quan for developers. Everyone, again, for those non-technical people, don't run away. You will actually understand 90% of what I'm about to explain. Don't fret it. Stick with us. You need to understand all of this, even if you're a non-technical person. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab 30 seconds, everyone, and I want to go and just make sure that I'm still stable on all the platforms that I'm streaming to. While you're waiting for me, I would love a subscribe and a like if you're watching this on my YouTube channel. If you're not, you can go navigate to my YouTube channels. I've got Web3 Simplified and I've got Bleeding Code. And if you really want to support me, the best way to do it is via just subscribing, liking, and watching my content on YouTube. That is the best way to support me. I will find my way to earn my means in order to create additional content like this. Excuse me, just a few seconds while I go check everything on this side. All right, I am back, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting. And I saw a couple of you have subscribed. I really appreciate it. That's fantastic. What we're going to do is we're going to move on to the fun stuff. And just remember, for those who there is a Clubhouse room going over here, so they can't see any visuals. I'm just going to repeat this. If you want to subscribe to my channels, I've got youtube.com/web3 simplified. That's for all you non-technical people that want to adopt Web3 technologies. That's the place to go. I've also got youtube.com/bleeding code. That's for you developers who want to be a part of the Web3 space. I also primarily focus on the MERN stack, which is Mongo, Express, React.js, and Node.js and JavaScript. So if that's your fancy, be sure to subscribe to that channel as well, because I've got some crazy stuff on there that will support you. Okay, so we're going to kick off now. I hope that I haven't stopped anything from happening, but it looks like I'm still good to go. And here we are. All right. So part 2, Quan for developers, everyone. This is where it gets fun. Another one of the things that Quan's offering that is very unique is multi-language smart contracts. So what does this mean? They have a QVM. QVM, similar to EVM, stands for Quan Virtual Machine. It runs as a layer 2, not only on their own platform, but also on the Ethereum platform. And the reason for that is because they are completely EVM compatible. You would be able to take anything that you do on Ethereum and you'd be able to migrate it onto their platform, because they comply with all those standards on Ethereum. But at the same time, what they also offering is the ability to run any application that can run on a Linux kernel. All right. So sorry, I stuttered over there. Let me try that again. So any application that can be developed using Go, Python, PHP, Java, JavaScript, C#, you name it, as long as it can be compiled to a binary that can run on a Linux kernel, it can run as a smart contract on the Quan virtual machine. And this is where the game changer comes in with their platform. So the flow of a smart contract, if you wanted to do this now on your side, and I'm going to use Node.js because that's what I'm a server-side Node.js developer. But please, this could happen for almost, again, any program, any platform, any development platform that can render and run on a Linux environment. This applies to you as well. I would go and write my server-side Node application that in Node.js, in JavaScript, and the same way that I would run it, all I would do is I would go and compile it so that it will compile to a binary, as I mentioned before. And the way that I interface with the Quan platform is via CLI commands, which is exactly what Node.js offers me. It allows me to interface, or it allows me to run CLI commands. CLI for the non-technical folks stands for command line interface. It's like you opening up command prompt on your Windows and typing in cd/something. That is command lines. And in our applications, we can do that. And it is via that we can interface with the command line tool, which is the Quan platform's tool. Quan, what's a QVM control or something like that. So that is what we would write into our server-side application. But everything else we will do as per normal in JavaScript. We then compile it to a statically linked ELF binary. Okay, statically linked ELF binary. It just means that it's like a standalone EXE for those who are on Windows, which is for most of the non-technical folks. So it's like having just an EXE that you can copy and paste and put on someone else's machine and double click to run it, and off you go. It doesn't even need to install, it just runs. That's what the statically linked ELF binary is. And you then deploy that to the Quan virtual machine via Docker technology. So Docker technology is just sort of a virtualization 2.0, and which is brilliant, because in order to even use any of the stuff on your development computer, you don't even need to install any tools that on your local computer. All you need to have is Docker, and then download Docker images, which is what the Quan platform exists as. It exists as Docker images. So it's very, very, very exciting stuff. You get officially and unofficially supported platforms and languages. Okay, So just something that you need to understand about Quan platform. While they support any language that can run on Linux, there are those that are officially supported and there are those that are unofficially supported. Officially supported means that not only do they have in their documentation tutorials, samples, or tutorials and samples, but they also have optimized compilers that they've created that will do a better job of what your traditional compilers would do. For the non-technical people, it means that if I want to take my app and make it compatible with Quan, I can do it the manual way, but they will have a certain way that's much easier and much better, and it will optimize everything. And that means it will be officially supported. Right now, Golang Go is officially supported by Quan, but a number of others are on their way. So that brings us to unofficially supported programming languages, which could be Node.js, TypeScript, it could be Java, it could be C#, it could be PHP and Python. Those are unofficially supported. Why? Because if you go to their documentation right now, they do not have tutorials and samples that can help us get up and running with that. And we have to go and run our own compilers and convert those applications into these ELF files by ourselves, which will not be optimized as well. So even though it will work, it's not officially supported. And I thought I'd just make mention of that because it is even though it supports any language right now, things will just get better and better. So the requirements, and sorry, this be technical, everyone. If you wanted to now get started with this as a developer, you would need to run Docker on your local machine and download the QVMCTL Docker image. The QVMCTL stands for Quan Virtual Machine Control CLI, or it's the program that runs on the CLI, but you download that as a Docker image. You will need OpenSSL as well so that you can generate a random SEP256K1 private key. Don't worry, I don't even know what it means for you if you non-technical folk are concerned about that. You'll need a wallet address, which can easily be created once you've got this QVM control, and you'll need some ETH. Now, right now they're in their testing phase. So what they're using they're using the Ropstein Ethernet testnet because they're testing the Ethereum compatibility right now of their platform. And what you would do is you would just go onto Ropstein's faucet and download some RETH, which costs nothing, and that will allow you to play around and work in sort of a development state. Even though you are developing these solutions and deploying them, it will be on a sort of a development environment and not live production environment that will cost serious amounts of money right now. So this is the requirements on your side if you wanted to get started with this. So the ELF compiling, just so that everyone understands, okay, in order to do this via Golang, for example, it's already got it built in. You just do go build LFD flags SW, and a lot of other development platforms have similar options on their side in order to convert it into a Linux compatible ELF binary. But for Node.js, and this is why I made this distinction over here, is because I'm a Node.js developer, and that Node.js doesn't need to be compiled to run. If you've got the Node server, Node installs running, you don't need to compile Node.js. It just runs because it uses the JavaScript V8 engine. But in this case, we need to compile it. So we need to download and install a free package called PKG, which was developed by Versal. And this is the command that you would run that will allow you to go and convert your application and take all the Node.js libraries with it and turn it into a single executable file. This is an example of the command that you would run. I have got references to this later on because obviously it will depend on the kind of environment that you are running on your machine. So sorry, everyone, that was a little bit technical. So now we're going to move on to less technical stuff, and this will actually be a lot more fun for those who are running IT businesses or are like IT managers or decision makers when it comes to technologies. We are now going to talk about multi-platform integrations. So you are able to take Quan platform as a blockchain, as an entire blockchain, and deploy it privately to the following cloud providers: Amazon, Google, Microsoft Azure, DigitalOcean, and Linode. And the reason for that is because we are using Docker technology. Once again, I stand corrected because they don't go to this level of detail in their documentation right now. They will soon. But if I put two and two together from what I've read, is that because it runs as Docker containers, all these cloud platforms, AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, they all have built-in Kubernetes implementations or container cluster orchestrations, whatever you want to call it. And all that means is that they've already got what you need in order to spin up these Docker containers, which remember is brand new virtualization, which is very lightweight, very quick, and very, very easy to run. A discussion for another time. But they support all of that, which means that you can just grab the images, the Docker images, and deploy them to what your platform of choice, and it will run either in a Kubernetes cluster or even potentially on a serverless platform, and boom, you've got your own private implementation of the blockchain. Okay, so that is very, very, very cool. But what's even better is because it uses the containerization methodology of Docker as an example, you can run them on premise on your environments. You can run your own private Quan platform blockchain on your own virtual machines. Because if you wanted to run Kubernetes and container orchestration technologies on your local environments, you would need nodes. Nodes are computers or machines or virtual machines, and that's why they call it nodes, because it's sort of interchangeable depending on where you're deploying it to. But on your local on-premise environments, you could spin up a virtual machine and install the cluster orchestration software that will be able to run the Docker containers, and before you know it, you've got a Quan platform private blockchain environment running on your local machine behind a firewall. And you can now take advantage of that as well. And it supports VMware, Xen, Microsoft Hyper-V, VirtualBox, and KVM. All right. And again, remember what I said. It could be machines or virtual machines, and that's why we call them nodes. So, for example, bare metal servers that will support this are Apple, HP, and Dell. I'm not too sure why only these brands will support it. But anyways, this came from their documentation. Then there are just other integrations that we spoke about, the Ethereum EVM migrations, so I'm not going to go into that again. Support Oracle API integration, for example, and there was the other one. Sorry, it escaped me right now. But Chainlink is the popular one. All right. So this is probably the most exciting part for developers, if I've still got the developers watching over here, is in the Quan platform, they've built in developer royalties. So this is how it works. When I say royalties, they pay you when people use your code. Okay. Now, when it comes to smart contracts, even though you are deploying your own application in Node.js or Python, it still gets deployed and seen as a smart contract. It's not because it's not Solidity, it's not a smart contract. It's seen as a smart contract on the Quan virtual machine. But they have two types of smart contracts. They see two types of smart contracts. There are generic smart contracts and specific smart contracts. Okay. And there are generic smart contract developers and there are specific smart contract developers. So what's the difference between these two? Generic smart contract developers will design services on the Quan virtual machine that are generic enough and that are module based and generic enough to be used by other smart contracts, so that and this prevents duplication of services, of the same services on the Quan virtual machine, and there's a number of benefits for that. So your generic contracts and your generic developers will actually go and write these generic functions and services and deploy them to the Quan platform. Now, specific smart contracts are customized smart contracts that cannot really be used by anyone else. It has a specific intent, and it only gets used, for example, for a specific business. It will not be able to be used by anyone else. A generic one might be, what is the current price of crypto, or what is the current price of Bitcoin? It could be a service on the Quan platform that you could call in your own code, and it's generic enough and it will return the price of Bitcoin, as an example. But specific might be, what is the price of my bank account behind my business, or whatever. That's not relevant to anyone. That is specific. Okay. So if you can register as a generic smart contract developer and deploy reusable smart contracts to the Quan platform, this is where royalties come in, because these specific developers, that require certain contracts, they will use your logic instead of developing their own logic. And why will they do that? Because it will be cheaper for them to reuse existing services on the Quan platform than what it will be to go and create their own version of those services and then deploy that. So whenever you deploy a smart contract to the Quan platform, there is a price to pay for that, and it depends on a number of factors, but one of them is obviously the size and complexity of your smart contract, okay, of your application. So the lighter it is, the more reusable it is, and the less code there is, the less you are going to pay when you deploy the smart contract. So that will incentivize you to use or to reuse existing logic that already exists on the blockchain. And for that very reason, if someone ends up using my service that I created and deployed that goes and checks the price of Bitcoin, I will not only get a royalty from the fee that is paid when this developer used my service and deployed his or her smart contract. Not only will I get a fee at that point, but I will also get a royalty back whenever that contract service is called that uses my piece of code. So those are the two scenarios that I would get royalties back as a developer, is when someone deploys an app that uses my code, and when someone else uses that app's code that uses my code. So I, as a developer, could earn royalties for life on this Quan platform blockchain. So I want you to think about this for those developers out there. For example, think about how many hundreds of thousands of node modules exist right now on the NPM, the node marketplace, npm.js.com. The hundreds of thousands that get used, and how many of them get used on a daily basis? We are talking millions. Millions of transactions are being occurred. Millions of applications are using some of these modules on NPM. Do you get any royalty for that? How many times do I install a node module where while I'm installing it, I see the developers like, please support me in some way, if you feel like buy me a coffee or whatever. What if that was no longer the issue? Quan platform says, go and do the same thing on our platform. Create these node modules that are reusable services on our platform, and you won't have to ask for money. We will pay you. You will get a royalty from that. All right. So this is very exciting for developers, whether you know JS, Python, it doesn't matter. It's any programming language. This is a game changer. All right. So royalties are paid in Quan X, right? It makes sense because you're working on the Quan platform. They don't go and pay you in fiat. They pay you back in that platform's technology token. All you do is you go to like Uniswap and just convert it into something else. And there are ways to convert that into fiat currency if you want. Otherwise, you just get it back in Quan X. And then they say, yeah, royalties are for a lifetime. All right. So obviously it will be the lifespan of their platform as long as it runs. I said over here, they need to explain this part in more detail, because this could be like I wouldn't say a make or break for people, but they need to be a little bit more precise in terms of what they mean when royalties are for a lifetime. So we're towards the end, and I just want to go through a couple of final notes, everyone. Number one, you can store QuanX tokens in any wallet that supports ERC20 and BEP20 tokens. Your preferred wallets that support both are, guess what? MetaMask. But you also have Trust Wallet and then My Ether Wallet. There are a number of other wallets that you could use, but these are the ones that support both ERC20 and BEP20. And I think it's, MetaMask needs no introduction to most people that are trying to adopt the Web3 ecosystem. The next ones are, as a dev, code reuse is incentivized as you pay for the size of your smart contract. I did say this earlier on, so I just wanted to sort of emphasize that as a developer that wants to work on Quan platform, you are incentivized to optimize your code. You are incentivized to deploy transactions that are quick and that are not resource intensive. And that is an important incentive that works for everyone. Everyone benefits from that. Okay, so I love this royalty incentive that Quan platform has put in place. And I think the only other thing really is that you have validators and node providers when it comes to Quan platform. So validators are what we call the miners, right? And you have node providers that have like sort of major stakes into the Quan platform. And then I said earlier on that they do a proof of randomness. So they offer the hybrids of proof of work as well as proof of stake. And the validators sort of do the proof of work where the node providers do the proof of stake. And then using their random algorithm, a balance is maintained across these two to maintain eco-friendliness and to make sure that everything is democratic. So the next steps for everyone is to, and I will send links, and this will be in my video, but you want to go to quanplatform.com. That is QAN platform.com. Everything you need to know is on their site. For the non-technical folk, you'll want to join their Telegram group. There's like 27,000 people in that group, but it is an awesome vibe. I've only been there a few days, and I'm actually there as a developer, and it's swarmed with non-technical folk, but I'm having the best discussions with them. Some amazing vibes over there. I cannot stress it enough. Go and join the Telegram group. If you are a technical person, you want to join their Discord group. It's relatively new, but you want to join their Discord server. That's where their technical team exists. And if you want to have the opportunity to speak to them directly, that's where you want to go. But even if you're technical, I still recommend that you jump into the Telegram group and socialize with the non-technical folk. Just maybe keep some of the more technical stuff in Discord, if you know what I mean. All right. And then I've got some reference links over here. So for those in Clubhouse, it's not going to help you too much, but I've just got links to the Quan platform, to their docs, to where you can get some Robstein ETH for testing, the roadmap, the IBM roadmap. So you can go read up more on what they're doing with their quantum computer. And then for the Node.js developers, I just provided a link to that package module that's going to help Node.js developers compile their applications to ELF binaries. And then I've finally got my contact details over here. I've got a DAO, everyone. It's called the Web3 Simplified DAO. I've got the URL over here. It's going to be difficult on Clubhouse, but I'll try. I think Mr. Triplet will help send a couple of links over there. Please, if you don't mind, Mr. Triplet. I've got my Web3 Simplified channel, which is youtube.com/Web3 Simplified. I've got Bleeding Code YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Bleeding Code. My Twitter is at John Jardine Codes, and my DSO account, that's the decentralized social media blockchain, by the way. My user account over there is at John Jardine, and we have reached the end of our presentation. We made it. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to take a few moments, and I'm going to collect some questions so that I can get them answered. And again, this will be recorded and this will be published to both YouTube channels. They will be cleaned up, so it will be a lot more abridged, but it will still give you everything that you need. I thank you, everyone, once again for joining me today. I really hope that this was valuable. Let me go and check out what some of the questions are so that I can get some of these answered. All right. Where do I start? Let's quickly go through the chat streams. All right, Julia. Dave Harvey, just a big shout out to you. You've been very busy on the YouTube comments. Thanks so much for providing additional insight and for your feedback. I love it. And thanks so much for subscribing. Vasilis, thank you for subscribing as well. And then Fasish, sorry if I say that wrong. You're saying, how about the dApps? So dApps, okay. The question is, if I understand your question correctly, you're asking, okay, what, you're saying what? Okay, so what happens? What are decentralized applications on the Quan platform? You will still go and create your React.js solutions. You will still, so what happens right now on the blockchains is you've got 80% of blockchain decentralized application development is web development, if you really think about it, or mobile development, because 80% of what you do is providing the user interface and the capability for people to interface with the blockchain. So the other 20% is where you go and interface with blockchain technology, but the rest is just web applications that you could host on any cloud platform or on Firebase or wherever you want. So that still remains the case over here. You will just be able to interface with your transactions or with your server-side applications. And that's what Quan Platform is trying to do, guys, because Quan Platform is replacing the need for you to learn Solidity and deploy smart contracts and all the additional bells and whistles that goes with it. They take care of all of that. All you need to do is bring your server-side app, compile it to a binary, and deploy it. And then the client-side app is what will interface with that. So I don't know if that answered your question. I hope it does. The next question over here quickly is how the merge from ETH to ETH2 will affect Quan future. Well, Ethereum at the moment uses a proof of work consensus, and Ethereum 2 is going to use a proof of stake, of which Quan Platform supports both. So yeah, I can't answer that directly, but from what I understand of these blockchains, the Quan Platform already accommodates these two, although the testing that's happening right now is based on the current Ethereum, because only a select few people are able to be are busy with the ETH merge and testing ETH2. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Alex, have you got some questions for me?
I put it out there for anyone in the audience that wanted to ask questions to come on stage. The one person that had a question midway through has already left. I think we're good on our end here. People are still joining the room, but
okay, great. Yuri, on your side, on Entra, any questions?
Yes, well, actually, I would notice that there are even people noticing you in the Quan Platforms chat in Telegram. So kudos to you for all the attention to the platform. And actually, like, it's really interesting what you're saying. So, is it possible to basically like run it everywhere? It means that there can be like millions and millions of nodes of this platform, right? So it can be truly decentralized.
Yes.
So can you tell a bit more about it?
I think one of so the question, just so that everyone, in case you never heard, the question over here is the fact that you can run Quan Platform everywhere means that one of the big issues that we're facing with proof of stake or with some of the modern blockchains is that it's not truly decentralized, because most of the nodes that are performing the transactions land up being owned by VCs and big corporations in any event. So, and this is this is what Jack Dorsey was sort of referring to when he kept saying that Web3 is not true decentralization, and that's why Web5 is going to be the answer to that. But coming back to that question, what Quan's offering here, which Avalanche blockchain offers as well. So please don't think that this might be unique to Quan. But what they're doing here is they're saying that because of their proof of randomness, which is unique, they are going to be able to spread the load of transactions and storage of data across multiple platforms and not platforms, but multiple machines across the world, as simple as a Raspberry Pi. A Raspberry Pi is mentioned in their docs more than once. So you could be a node provider or not necessarily a node provider, but you could be a validator using a Raspberry Pi or smartphone in order to validate transactions, in other words, mine transactions. The node providers are more there for storing the blockchain data, because that's not something that you're going to be able to do with a mobile phone. You're going to fill up before you know it. So validators have their place and node providers have their place. But even then, their randomness algorithm prevents that whole scare of VCs just acquiring and staking everything in order to dominate the transactions. And because of that, and I don't understand yet. I don't know yet what the buy-in is, to be very honest. I don't know what the buy-in is to become a node provider. Right now, you just register as one, and then you receive more feedback. But it is because of these things that I've mentioned now. It's going to make the ability to become a validator, and more the validator than anything else, because and that's going to span to billions of devices. that will be able to validate transactions, because they'll be able to do the mining because it doesn't require a lot of intensive power. Whereas the node providers will be able to do that, but they're also there to support the size of the blockchain to make sure that there's going to be a number of providers around the world that can store that amount of blockchain data so that it can be accessible across the world. I don't know if that answered your question, Yuri.
Absolutely, that is like super important, right? And yeah, so another question from Antra, when will it be available on Coinbase?
Coinbase, that is a good question, and that is not actually a question I have an answer to. It's actually a very good question, Yuri. The best thing that I could do for that person who asked is on Telegram. Not only do you join a social group, but you also immediately get access to the announcements group, which is not social, it's read only. And that announcements group will make sure that you receive the latest updates from the Quan platform, and they provide updates on a daily basis. I've only been with them for a few days, and I've only been on their social sort of channels for a few days, and it's been quite exciting, the kind of stuff that's been thrown. They announcing partnerships and a number of other things. But the best to do is to join the Telegram group and sort of jump into those additional questions. There's a lot of them on there's a lot of them on the session today, and I will definitely reach out to them again on the Telegram, maybe to get some of these questions asked. But I will say this as well. It might not be immediate, because I know that they are nearing the go live of their mainnet for the Quan platform. And as part of the go live, a number of their team are touring and presenting at events right now, that in order to preach and do what needs to be done from a marketing point of view and from an adoption point of view. So I doubt we're going to get those kind of answers quick and easy. And even if we do get them, I suspect there will be a little while. But yeah, other than CoinSwap and Uniswap, there are two others. If you go to their documentation, kudos to their documentation. It is very easy to go through. It is very easy to read. It doesn't hurt your brain to try and see what's going on. They have categories on the left menus, and there's actually a left menu entry in their documentation that says how to buy Quan X and how to store Quan X. It's so easy. Just go to their docs. I think, yeah.
All right, good. There was also an interesting opinion on Clubhouse saying that quantum computers are still in too early phase, and even if it gets enough qubits, there is way too much noise for you to decrypt anything yet.
Which is why Quan's not the look. I agree with that. I'm not here, and I think what I need to understand as well is I've actually not done the research to understand the quantum component, their whole quantum resistant IP, to understand the demand for it right now. I've taken sort of the facts that I could go online and check. So if people sort of come back and say, yeah, no, it is too early, even if IBM brings it out in 2023, it's probably only going to get adopted in 2030. Yes, I get that. I do. But it was important I think what's important is to understand that people can't see that the blockchain is unhackable, for lack of a better term. We cannot have that sort of idea that it is that safe to run on these blockchains and move everyone on them. Even though they're using this kind of cryptography, there is something that's already coming that could break this cryptography. And I think all that Quan has done is they've taken the step forward to say, listen, this is what it means to be a quantum resistant platform that uses decentralized technology. And I think that's the message, right? How ETH are going to do it, how the other blockchains are going to do it, that's a big problem. They need to think about that. But I do think, and this is where I agree with that question, I do think they have a lot of time to deal with that issue. I don't think, it's not that they have until next year. They have a little bit of time to sort that issue out.
Yeah, good time to actually be working on it already, right? I noticed one thing that on Clubhouse, at the beginning, there were many developers, but probably they haven't made it to their actual more in-depth part, right? And people were asking more general questions. which probably aren't especially like useful here at this point. So probably it could be a good idea to split those rooms into, say, two, right? Or some for general audience and one for the developers, for example.
A great point. I think what we could do as well is if I can just get access to those questions, Yuri, in any way, I will go away and do what I can to maybe, whether it be new webinars or whether it be something, to go and create context for those questions and provide those answers. Or at the very least, find maybe do like a Clubhouse update for this room that might be, I don't know. But if I can just get access to those questions, then I'll be able to do what I need to do in order to get them answered.
Yeah, during the Clubhouse, I was sending them in the Entra room chat as well to you live, but I didn't know if you were seeing those.
Oh, hold on.
But I mean, it's most of the people are gone now. We have different people that have kind of stuck around to the end here.
Okay,
there are a few people still in the room if you have questions, but or as they raise their hand, maybe I'll just, we will in the future put something like Clubhouse question.
Yeah,
we can bring them to the stage, like ask the question at that exact time. I didn't want to interrupt your presentation, so I wasn't sure if that's how you wanted to go about it.
Thanks, I appreciate that. No worries. So I'm just jumping back onto YouTube, just to ask there's a couple of questions here. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Like Solana was 19 of 2,000 nodes controlling a majority of action. Very correct, Jason. I'll somehow throw that out there. Can the dApps be built with multi-language with feature? Vasist, can the dApps decentralize? Absolutely. The answer is yes. They can be built with the multi-language. I don't know what you mean with the feature. Maybe you can elaborate on that. But if I do understand you correctly, they can be built. They can be built with multi-language with this feature. Yes, I am. So you also asked, am I developing at the moment? I am developing. I develop on a lot of things. I've got like 9-10 projects at any point in time. Some of them are Web3 projects. Some of them are still Web2 projects. Some of them are mobile projects. So I am and I think for those who are current Bleeding Code subscribers, some of them would probably have not said it in the comments, but they would probably be swearing at me or something right now, because it's been a long while since I've actually done anything on my Bleeding Code channel. And one of the reasons for this is just I'm just spinning, and it's not an excuse, but hopefully this shows that I'm back to do a couple of things. When will QuanX be ready? Okay, so Ivan, you asking when will it be ready? They are busy testing right now. They are planning to go live at the end of this year. So the mainnet will go live at the end of 2022. However, for whatever, there's a couple of things involved that might delay that a little bit, which means it might only happen in early 2023. But that's very close. As a developer, that's extremely close. So you want to get onto this technology and you want to be a part of this, and at the least keep it on your radar, because it's almost, they're eliminating some of the excuses of why one wouldn't go onto the block 3 now, because they've now broken down some of those walls. Pierre Quinn, thank you so much. I appreciate it. The fact NIST approved, Quan already using. Okay, well, Jason does say that they have very little time with the quantum, as early as 2024, and the time to implement quantum resistant technologies. Okay, so I said 2030, and I might have needed to be careful when I said that. So Jason saying over here, with me saying they have until 2030 to be quantum resistant, that might not be the case, even though IBM's sort of releasing that kind of processing power for their quantum computer next year. It might already be as early as 2024 that certain the blockchains are going to be compromised. I honestly don't know the answers to this, but thanks, Jason. I think I was a little bit too optimistic saying 2030. I just threw that out there to be honest. Okay, they are using crystals. Okay, good, everyone. So I haven't got any more questions over there. Just double checking with Alex and Yuri. Anything else on your side?
Nothing on Clubhouse, but it looks like Entra, there's a question if someone can get the Discord link that you had mentioned, David had asked.
David, the Discord link. Yes. Okay, I know why you said that. It's because the Discord link is not actually on their website. I had to be given the Discord link manually. Hold on a moment. Sorry, everyone. I will paste this Discord link everywhere, by the way. So if you give me a moment, the first thing I've got to do is find a way to copy this Discord server.
While you're doing that, I'm going to take a moment to remind people that maybe don't know or aren't a part of DSO, but DSO is currently having a meetup in Altspace. We posted the code in the chat, both on Clubhouse as well as Entra. It starts at 11, but we'll be a little late. I think John's information was amazing, so I couldn't leave. If you're not already on Altspace, you can go to altvr.com and sign up for free. It's a free metaverse world that you can access via your Mac, or if you have an Oculus as well. And it should be a lot of fun. We always have a good time. Right after this room, I'll be heading over there.
I'll be there
Hopefully
as well.
Yep, John's always there as well, so it's super fun to see John see his avatar as we throw giant donuts at each other at the meetup.
The things we do to keep ourselves busy. All right.
It's cool because you can actually see some of John's Web3 Simplified playing in the DSO meetup space. So it's kind of cool how it's all integrated.
Listen, for the person in Entra, I'm having the worst time finding this link, and I'm doing my best not to delay. So what I'm going to do, okay, I'll tell you what, it's not the best solution, but I will make double sure that wherever I post the replay to this video, in the description or the blog post, it will have links to everything that I've mentioned, as well as the Discord channel. All right. It was something I received very last minute, and I remembered that I didn't see it inside their platform, and I think that's the best that I can do for now. I apologize, but what I can do, just as for those who want to wait 2 extra minutes, I can find it. But other than that, I think that's a wrap for this session, everyone. I thoroughly enjoyed it. My adrenaline's starting to drop a little bit. I'm going to have a beer after this while I'm running around in Altverse. But I thank everyone for your time. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Give this video a like. Oh, remember, every time you subscribe and give it a like, somewhere a developer loses a bug. And it's very important for us as developers. So you're doing everyone a service. But other than that, I'm going to take 2 more minutes, and I'm just going to see if I can find that link so that I can paste it into the relevant channels. And then I'm going to shut down these sessions. So nothing else other than that's going to be happening right now. Thank you, everyone. All right, let me go and find this thing. Oh, sorry, if you all, Yuri and Alex, sorry, I have to say thank yous to both of you for managing this. Sorry, man, I'm still adrenaline driven over here, but you guys did an amazing job. I really, really, really appreciate it. Thanks once again. Let me go.
No worries. Did you want me to keep the Clubhouse room, or are you going to post that Discord in there as well, or do you just want to close that?
If you don't mind, Alex, I'm literally gonna find it now, and then
if you can send it,
I've got it. I found it.
Because I'm not logged in on Entra's app to bring it over from here to. Well, I mean, you can post it also because you're in the Clubhouse room.
I think so. I just don't know if Clubhouse will. Anyways, let me first do this. So let me first cover everyone over here for everyone on YouTube. There we go. There's the Discord links on Entra. There's the Discord server link. And on Clubhouse, let me see if I can just do this. I know Clubhouse is a bit finicky when it comes to pasting. Oh, there you go. Sorry.
Yep, you took care of it already. Thank you, Yuri.
Oh, yeah, Yuri found it as well. All right. I think that's a wrap, everyone. I'm going to start shutting down, but thank you once again. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Yuri. And I'll chat to you shortly.
Thank you, John. That was quite interesting, and finally, like digitalization and so many languages. That's really cool. And quantum persistence, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thanks again, guys, and for everyone who attended, I appreciate it. Ciao, ciao.
See you.
Close from now. Yep. See you in alt space.
Ciao, ciao. Bye.